expressing our support for the Ukrainian people and our solidarity with the Ukrainian Biathlon family.
Sorry?
Too much sun in Finland.
Yeah, today. And only this place. Thank you. 214.
Four, two.
Oh, and cool. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Number, please.
Oh, sorry.
5 and 4. Thank you.
Jajamän, upp där. Ja, uppe, då kör vi.
So, welcome to Kontiolahti. If you've just joined us, just in time to see Bharat Nunar set them off on the fifth and final relay of the season. Norway have been the dominant team. 3 wins from 4 races. The only one they didn't win was Ruhpolding, where they had a B team racing as all the Olympic athletes were away doing altitude training. That race in the end was won by the Russians, and a good performance by Latyapov on that occasion. The French, Mike, haven't won this year.
I'm amazed, actually. When you look at the strength, the depth and the strength of the French team, you'd expect just the law of average that they would place themselves on top of the podium. They have made the podium 3 times, but twice in 3rd place, once in 2nd. Sorry, I'm looking at this. Twice in 2nd place, 1 4th and 1 5th position. Today may well be their day, Patrick.
Certainly, I think they will have started feeling that. They could win the relay trophy, but it would require the Norwegians to finish outside the top 7. That hasn't happened this year. It didn't happen last year, so I think it's highly unlikely. But as we said, they've got 2 slightly weaker athletes, but Bakken is 16th in the World Cup standings. Anderson is 20, so they're still pretty hot by athletes.
I'll tell you what, Patrick, this corner, they're approaching this corner over 55 kilometers an hour, so you have to kind of approach it, taking it wide so you don't chop yourself into the deeper snow as you exit. I thought they all did really well there. Yeah,
these days were made for cross-country skiing. It is absolutely stunning. The sunshine has kept the bitter cold away. -4. The skis are running perfectly. There's no issue with the waxing. Classic or freestyle, it just doesn't matter. This is what we live for.
That's lovely. A lot of the track, though, is in shade, and then dropping down to the, well, just what, 5 meters above that huge lake, the level, it's dropping a couple of degrees, and then much warmer in the stadium area where the sun is on the range.
Well, just a replay of the start here in Kontiolahti. If you don't know your geography, we're not so far from the Russian border. And what is it, about 3 hours drive from Helsinki? Probably a little bit more than that.
It is. Well, we drove it one slow Sunday evening. But it's a lovely venue, and what the World Cups have been coming here since 1990. I was there for the first one, and for most of them all the way through up to 2002. And it's a lovely, relaxed feel here. All the staff and the organising committee putting in such a strong performance to make everything perfect.
Yeah, they've had the World Championships a number of times. Most recently, 2015. Was it 91 when they held the Worlds here, and it was bitterly cold. Actually had to run the end of the programme in Oslo because the conditions didn't get any warmer.
Oh yes, 99. That was absolutely freezing. Cancelled for what, 4 straight days. It was down at -27. Just, I was watching the zeroing. I don't know if you saw, Patrick, but Kontiolahti, when he came to shoot, immediately Patrick Fabre, the shooting coach, said, okay, sights down by 11 clicks and left by 10 clicks. And I know he only arrived here a couple of days ago, but that to me, looks like the settings of his rifle were for Beijing weather. He did shoot yesterday, so maybe it was windy yesterday, but he put the shots absolutely through the centre after they made those sight adjustments. Yeah, interesting stuff. I thought you were going to say he was being briefed on what to do if he drops a spare round. Oh, well, that was strange yesterday, wasn't it? The French team, Briza Boucher, just going into meltdown, really. Our thought process wasn't working to put a spare magazine in the breech and use the spare round from a second magazine. Should never happen. Yeah, and that disqualification taking France out of contention for the crystal globe, the small globe as they call it, for the relays this year. With Sweden in second place, all they had to do was finish in 14th from 17 teams. They ended up coming across the line in 6th, but the disqualification was made. We didn't actually get an explanation until after the race. Mike, you were speculating and you weren't far wrong. Well, I thought, what could possibly be so serious? And yes, it is serious, using a spare magazine, which means, didn't see what happened, but there has the potential where you have 4 other bullets underneath the bolt, and that's not acceptable skiing round like that. Yeah, I don't know if it was caught on camera, but it would certainly be interesting to see. France were quite a long way off the pace at that stage, so the cameras were not focused on Justine Briza-Boucher. Briza-Boucher, of course, did that brilliant mass start in Beijing, taking the gold medal. So here we go, shoot number 1. We can stop talking about France's misery from yesterday and focus on their potential victory here today in the men's 4x7.5. 2.5 kilometres gone. Norway in lane 1. We've got France 2, Germany 3, Italy, Sweden, Switzerland, Canada taking up to lane 7, and Slovenia in lane 8. Canada quick, 4 out of 4. Very good. That was quite a slow pace into the range. All the teams, 20 teams within 7 seconds. Estonia, 5 out of 5. Lithuania, 5 out of 5. Japan hit all 5. Finland, the local team, a team that know this range better than anyone else, 2 mistakes, as have the USA. Everyone, as far as I can see, avoiding the penalty loop so far. Well, the Heikki Laitinen, the Finnish starter, he'll be disappointed, and sometimes when you try too hard it goes the opposite way. He wanted an excellent start, it hasn't happened. Interesting, Mike, the 4 World Cup relays this year, the worst shooting result to win has been 5 spares for the 40 targets, so it's quite a high standard. The Olympics was slightly different. Norway did a penalty loop and missed 7 other shots. I'm trying to remember what the conditions were like. It was Ligrid on leg number 1 who made the mistakes. It was a surprise, wasn't it? Fairly difficult conditions. Yeah, and apart from that, they only missed 4 other shots in the remaining 7 shoots. Well, Germany are going to miss this man, Eric Lesser. 5 out of 5, dead centred, first 4. Oh, a lucky high left there, last shot. So France ahead of Norway, Slovenia up there as well, Germany in 4. So lap 2, and standing shoot still to go for the athletes on the first leg. Quite incredible. It's very tight today with the easy shooting conditions. It's not an easy range to come into, but what is that? 10 teams within 6 seconds. Well, Sweden's still there. I expected a lot more from Sweden this year, and in the relays they've had a 7th, a 5th, an 8th and a 17th. Maybe today will be the day, but with the 4 athletes lined up, I would expect more. Reynolds from Canada, he's just dropped a couple of seconds, but his shooting was very fast, 23.3 seconds, but not as fast as Reni Zakna, the Estonian. He had the fastest shooting, 5 out of 5 in 20 seconds. It's horrible being detached by even 20 seconds, 30 seconds at this stage, because you really have to press your pace way outside what's your normal comfort zone. And for some of the slower teams, the weaker teams, it multiplies. The tension is really felt throughout your body.
Kazakhstan already some distance off the pace, over 40 seconds behind, but on the whole a pretty close start, with only 18 seconds separating the top 15 teams after the first shoot. And as we mentioned, no one going on the penalty loop. What did we have? 12 teams clear on the first shoot, and consequently the leading group pretty much together as they come back up the big climb and approaching the range for the second time. Bakken leading, 23-year-old. He's been good in the prone this year, not quite as reliable in the stand. He's only done one relay this season. That was Östersund, the second World Cup of the season, and he hit 10 out of 10 on that occasion.
It must have been tough for Bakken and, well, many of the Norwegians. Such a strong team, hard to get into that Olympic team, and his 5th position in the very last race before the Olympics in the mass start in Anholt. It must have felt terrible. 5th in the world leading into the Olympics, but not even going to the Olympics.
Now, do the Masters use this climb when they're here, Mike?
Thankfully, I have to, a sigh of relief, say no, they don't. But it's still a steep climb, because you're going from the low point back up to the same height, but on a much less steep gradient. But it's still a bit of a sting as you come up towards the range. And yes, that all happens, in 2 weeks' time. And a fabulous British team attending.
Yeah, in a way, it's a shame it happens at the same time as the last World Cup of the season, when the Biathlon Tour wraps things up in Oslo. The last race for the biathletes, for the men anyway, will be on the 20th of March. That's when we will know where all the crystal globes have gone. Can you see anyone touching Fillon Maillet? As I mentioned, 97 points clear. He's got Jacquelin 111 behind. I think Tadej Bo's pretty much out of it, not racing this week, so his chance has gone.
It is a shame, isn't it? It depends. Often you find with the incredible success that Fillon Maillet had at the Olympics and leading with the yellow bib, you never know. He had so much attention back home and massive welcome home, so he's been distracted. Only came here 2 days ago, so it'll be interesting to see if he's lost any of his magic season. I wouldn't expect he has much.
Well, he takes the anchor leg for France today. A group of 4, followed by a group of 3. And France and Norway side by side at the moment. Sivert Guthorm, Bakken for Norway. Antonin Gigener for France. In lane 3, we've got Sweden with Pepe Femling. Italy next to them. Italy with Thomas Bormolini on the first leg. Sweden throw one wide. That's a bad start. France also missing one. Norway taking their time with Bakken. That might be the best tactic at the moment. Germany absolutely rattling through their targets. That is how Eric Lesser loves to perform. And what a way to sign out on World Cup relays. They might be knocking at his door this evening saying, come on, Eric, one more season.
Or maybe 4 more seasons. What about France? One shot left, 1 target standing. Gigener under pressure.
Yeah, Bakken is in the same position. Bormolini is in the same position. Bormolini goes on the penalty loop. The Czech Republic have multiple loops to do. Extraordinary how the pressure has mounted at the front, and we're only on the first leg of the race. So Norway drop right back to 10th, having come in first, giving away 24 seconds. It's Eric Lesser who finds himself out front. He's pretty much done his bit, and what's the margin? 4.2 seconds. He's in a really good position, and he's not really going to be under threat from the team behind him. Slovakia, Michael Šima is on his tail, but I think the gap may grow to around 10 seconds.
Wow, well, the poor shooting we saw there, that was entirely because of, for the second time up the steep climb, you really feel it, after the 12 minutes of racing, and it really is running out of air on this range.
So Bakken had 3 to clear 2. And he took all 3. Where's this one going to go? Low right? High right?
Well, in zeroing, he was low in stand shooting on paper. And 2 of his shots have missed low so far. That was high left, the last one.
Well, it would be nice to see Eric Lesser get a win in his last relay. The Germans actually won the last relay last year in good style. Norway were down in 3rd on that occasion. It was Russia who came in 2nd place behind them.
I was looking at the most recent World Championships here back in 2015. Germany, led by Eric Lesser, he didn't miss any targets on that day. They took the gold medal at the World Championships.
Germany in 3rd last time we raced here, behind Norway and Sweden on that occasion. Again, Lesser took the opening leg. He's been a very reliable athlete. He's not the fastest, but he's a good shot. He's good under pressure. What do you think the highlight of his career is?
Oh, he's always played a part in these the relay team when it's been at its best, like the gold medal there on this tracks in 2015.
Yeah.
His highlight, he's had many. I think probably what he did in Sochi in the individual race, in the silver medal position there. I thought it was sad this time around in Beijing, finishing 67th in the individual race, which discounted him from the sprint, the pursuit, and he was brought back in for the relay in Beijing.
Yeah, he had problems in the stand position, missing 50% of the targets. Pretty good in Pyeongchang as well. Played a part, got the bronze in the relay, 4th place in the mass start, 4th place in the mixed relay. He's been up there for many, many years. Anyway, signing out in style, unless something goes drastically wrong over the last couple of Ks. It's going to be Eric Lesser who leads into the stadium for the first exchange in this 4x7.5. Sweden are closing the gap. It's been a good ski from Peppy Femling so far. And Pep, what was he, 12.9 behind coming out of the range.
This is exactly what the Swedish team needed. Give them a bit of a boost, some confidence to follow the Germans out of the range. Sorry, out of the exchange.
Jima dropping back to 4th from 2nd. Bakken at 17.5 when he came out, still at 17.5, and he was 24. So Bakken actually really gunning it here today. Giegner having to make up for some bad shooting on that stand, needed 3 spares to get the targets down. He has gone from 22 behind to 20, so not making too much progress at the moment. And Thomas Bormolini of Italy, who had a penalty loop on that standing shoot, is still at 46 seconds.
And Bormolini, he was so good at the Olympic Games. He was hoping to keep the team in about 8th position. He handed over in 4th place, but 30 seconds behind. It was a tough day, and he didn't go around the penalty on that very windy day.
Plenty of spring in those 33-year-old legs of Eric Lesser. Comes from Oberhof, which is, as all long-term fans will know, a regular or an annual visit for the Biathlon World Cup Tour. Now, if you were going to take out one of the venues that we use every year, Mike, which would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I do like the 3 after Christmas with Oberhof, Ruhpolding and Holt, so I'd certainly leave them. I wouldn't want to take any out there. I'm sitting on the fence on that one.
Well, the reason I ask is because I think Annecy should become an annual fixture, because it's such a sensational atmosphere they create down there. Anyway, a discussion for another time before we upset any of the nations. Germany heading out in the lead, and a brilliant leg from Eric Lesser, his last ever relay. Roman Rees Rees now is in charge for them, a man who's struggled a bit with the prone shooting, so it may come unstuck early doors in this second leg. Austria in second, best we've seen of them so far, but they do not have the strength in depth. Eberhardt has been really missed this year. Switzerland doing well, top 5. Slovakia dropping from 2 to 6. France up in 7th position. Giegner skiing well, clawing back some 5 or 6 seconds on that last 2.5 kilometre loop. Canada 8, Estonia 9, Lithuania, as you can see, only 30 seconds behind. That's not a bad first leg for them.
Just looking further back, Patrick, did see it at the time. Mikulas Karlik from Czech Republic. He missed 3 targets standing. There's still 143 behind. So the rest of his team will be feeling very much deflated. And it's a strong team.
Yeah, and they go from trying to finish in the top 5 or 6 to trying to make sure they don't get lapped by the leading teams. As we watch Rees of Germany head down the hill for the first time. 3 2.5 kilometre laps to complete for him.
Well, the exchange, Germany ahead of Austria, 8.9 seconds. So that gives Roman Rees certainly plenty space around him to dictate his own pace. And I thought that was a great performance from Norway. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so dynamic in terms of skiing from David Komatz, but he had a fabulous day at the races. Now,
Austria still there.
Yes, Simon Eder. 3rd place now, so he's dropped back a little from those 8 seconds at the handover.
Jacquelin at 12.5, so France have pulled back a fair amount of time. Another 5 seconds pulled back. Jacquelin having to go hard. He'll want to be within 5 or 6 seconds of the leaders come the first shoot, but that can come at a price, as we see Lukas Hofer of Italy. They were 46 seconds behind. And now at 54, so Lukas making no ground in the early stage of this loop, and he's got Finland on his tail. That's Tero Sapala for Finland.
Yes, damage limitation from Heikki Laitinen. I thought he did well. He skied really strong on the 2nd and the 3rd lap to make up for his poor shooting. So Finland still very much in the race.
Now, Germany's history here is good, Mike. We talked about lesser success in 2015. You talked about the World Championships in 2009 when Germany were the dominant nation. Is it because the tracks here bear a similarity to Ruhpolding?
It's possible. I was just looking at the tightness of skiing here. You know, it's difficult to ski away from the weaker skiers here because of all the long descent. And the only time you can, the strong teams can take significant time out of the slower athletes is up this section. The rest of the track is relatively easy.
So Germany, France, Austria, Sweden, Anderson of Norway. He was 14, so he's closed 3, but lost a couple of places. Jacquelin has absolutely stormed it, Mike. As we mentioned, 17 seconds behind, so he's made up 14 seconds. And I think he wanted to make the time up before the big climb.
Well, that's interesting. He's an excitable biathlete, isn't it? We saw that in Annecy before Christmas. He just took on a bullish attitude, but he hasn't done much like that since. He hasn't had the form to do that. You need to be in good ski form to close 14 seconds down. Lukas Hofer's trying to close down, but it's not happening. Still the same margin as the exchange.
So Jacquelin, having caught the leaders, has eased up just a little bit. He's obviously in very, very good form. In terms of, I was just going to say, shooting was his issue in Beijing, Mike. Do you think that was the wind that he wasn't able to cope with when you compare it to his performances in Annecy?
I think it was. It broke his personal rhythm. We'll see his rhythm now. And when you get the rifle moved around by an outside force, you really have to adapt. You have to change your routine. And I think we'll see him back to his fast, his determined, his very solid shooting ways.
Well, he seems to have the breathing under control, despite the fact that he has taken 17 seconds out of Roman Rees on that first lap.
He's back into his rhythm. I was watching him in zeroing. That rear sight touches his forehead. It doesn't put him off.
Well,
very
that is
fast.
A fantastic change in position. He's gone from 7th up into 1st in the space of 2.5K. And the French, who have Detour and Filmayer to finish, will be feeling very good at this stage. But they know, like everyone knows, that things can and do go wrong in the relays. Mark Kirchner knows that as well as anyone else.
That was interesting, and I think Roman Rees, Jacqueline, mission accomplished to kind of put Roman Rees off by getting so close, right in behind him, having pulled back 17 seconds. And now Rees finds himself 17 seconds behind.
USA just settling on the mat. Last time we saw they were 1 minute 13 behind. Sean Doherty on the range for the USA. Team 14 alongside them. That's Romania with Dmitry Shamayev. Yeah, desperately sad news for the Ukrainians, Mike, with one of their young biathletes, Yevhen Malishev, already one of the fatalities from the conflict in Ukraine. I think that was a bit of a wake-up call for biathlon, and certainly will have played a part in the decision to ban Russia and Belarus from the races.
Yes, I thought they made very early decisions to really change the shape, but that was on day one of the invasion, and I thought they called it right by saying points wouldn't be counted, ski suits can't be used, or flags can't be shown, and it put the Russian team off, said, well, we're not attending.
Well, personally, I would have preferred they said you can't attend, and they pulled the strings. But
well, they did later.
Yeah, compared to other governing bodies, later. Yeah, compared to other governing bodies, they were quick to act. But the obvious answer, I think, for everyone was they just should not compete, and that seems to be pretty much across the board with sport at the moment, as we see Jacqueline storming away now. 17 seconds gained on just about everyone on that first 2.5K loop. He could be a penalty lap ahead of everyone come the second shoot.
Well, he's on absolutely amazing form, Jacqueline, again, as he was before Christmas. But there again, Eder, he's kind of dropped off a little since the Olympics, pace-wise. Eder now 22 seconds behind.
Sweden with Nellin back at 34, still not out of it. Good performance by the Canadians. Christian Gau on course. His brother Scott Gau takes the anchor leg today. Between those two, we'll have Jules Bernot. So the Canadians, although they're ranked 10th, I think today they'll be disappointed if they don't get a top 6 or 7.
Yes, and Switzerland, Martin Jäger. Well, he's replacing Vega from the Olympics, who took second leg, but so far, a great start for the Swiss team.
Yeah, Benny Vega, another man who will not be taking part in the World Cup Tour next year. So many of the athletes we've got used to over the last decade deciding to call it a day, and that's often the case after an Olympic cycle is finished.
And Vega, when we saw him coming to the World Cup scene, he looked so good. He was so good. His podiums, what, some 8-9 years ago. And then he lost his way. He'd had a bad fall in Ruhpolding. The rifle smacked his head. Hospital job. And he wasn't really the same in terms of his performance after that, I thought.
Yeah. And, of course, he's had a bout of COVID as well. And that affects everyone differently, as we know.
Jacqueline is making this brutal hill look as if it's fairly flat.
Yeah, 22 seconds clear last time we saw Jacqueline. He looks as though he's extended that closer to the 30-second mark. Second place at the moment, Philip Fjeld Andersen for Norway. Just behind him is Simon Eder. What a servant he's been for the Austrian team. 27 seconds now the margin. Germany in 4 with Rees right on the tails, even closer than that to Simon Eder as he comes up the climb. Nell in 5 at 37. Jaeger of Switzerland 38. Strolia, then it's Gao of Canada.
I like Strolia's technique there. He's a giant of a man, but he's keeping very, very light and sort of nimble on his skis.
Here comes Lukas Hofer, was at 54 and now at 102. That's actually not bad. I wouldn't be surprised if Lukas gets the second fastest time on this leg, Mike. Everyone else, remember, has given away some 20 seconds to the man who leads into the stadium. And Jacquelin, 27 seconds clear. He can afford a penalty loop and he'll still come out in first place, provided he doesn't spend too much time manually loading the rounds.
What a strong performance. He has to be entirely out of breath. His pulse rate must be about 15 below max as he stops on the shooting mat.
Are we going to see Olympic individual standard for the shooting where he missed 5 out of 10, or will this be a cast back to Annecy where he could do no wrong?
I feel he's in that do no wrong category.
Just takes his time preparing for the rebuild of the position, and that is pretty solid as Ziggy Mazet. He'll have enjoyed that performance from Jacquelin, even though it means his man is now in a tricky situation. Anderson, Simon Eder misses number 3, gets 4, gets 5. Germany with a chance of clawing back a bit of time on the leader. No, they missed their opportunity, so we're going to be over the 30-second mark, I feel.
Isn't that strange? The last shot for Germany and for Norway, the pressure shot, breaking rhythm a little, and now Norway struggling.
Switzerland get 5 out of 5. First team to do so. Well done to Martin Jaeger. Serafin Wiesner will be happy with that. Wiesner, I should say. Norway finally get it down, but another 2 spare rounds required from them.
Well, just looking at the times, those 27 seconds, Eder finds himself behind Jacquelin. I think that'll extend to 47 over the next 2.5.
Yeah, Eder's come out at 27, as you saw. Rees at 32, Jaeger at 39. Norway, still really the biggest threat to the French lead, are at 46. So Germany, Mike, losing 47 seconds, 49 seconds on this second leg alone.
It's a huge turnaround, and France with Jacquelin just looking so strong, and Detieux next, and Fillon-Maillet, it's got a good feel to it.
Well, if he shows this sort of form, he might be the man who challenges Fillon-Maillet. 4 shoots completed in the men's 4x7.5, so we're halfway in terms of the shooting. We're not quite at that stage in terms of the skiing, which is good news for the French, because they should be at least 35 seconds clear of everyone when they come in to the exchange area for the second time. And France have Simon Detieux, who is next to go. Now, if you're thinking he's not the same quality as Jacquelin and Fillon-Maillet, I think you'd be right. But bear in mind, he is still top 10 in the World Cup standings.
He's a safe bet, isn't he? And at the Olympics, Detieux, he took the third leg. He only used 2 spares in his pro, and it was awful conditions at the time, and only 1 spare in standing, but only the 7th fastest time. I thought on that occasion he might have been faster.
Rees of Germany alongside Simoneda. Those two have had a good battle. They've lost another 5 seconds to France. Strolia goes through. Good performance by Lithuania, but their best have gone first. Andersen of Norway came out of the range at 46, so actually skiing really well on this last loop. And that's a feature of Norwegian skiing, isn't it, Mike? In the old days, with you know, your Andersens and Co and Bjorndalens, they often used to ski the first lap absolutely maximum. I think we've seen a certain amount of an increase in maturity as far as their race plan goes.
There appears to be, definitely. And well, Lygrid, he went for a little bit at the Olympics. Remember, he went for that faster, more aggressive pace, and surprisingly it really didn't pay off. Paid off in the prone shooting, but he had to take a penalty loop in the stand. The first part of the course, well, Jacquelin only took, what, 4.55 seconds off the chasers, and now this is what I mean about this track. It's only in this brutal section where the stronger, the athletes on form can create a lot of deficit, break away in terms of time from the rest.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the margin when they come into the to this split time at 14.3. Fastest shoot, by the way, was Romania's Shamaev, 21 seconds on that last stand. And from 32 seconds, I think we're looking at 35 to 40, maybe. Andersen of Norway wearing 1. He's had a very, very good last lap so far, and he's closed down significantly on Germany and Austria ahead of him.
I have to say, when Jacquelin came up this time, oh, the clock is indicating it. Jacquelin, to me, was just on survival. He was staggering. So he definitely went too fast in the first lap. Same again in the second lap, and he's suffering the last lap.
Yeah, Andersen at 46, Mike. He's brought that back to 34. So 12 seconds gained on France. Nellin at 43. He came out of the range at 50, so he's gained 7. And if Sapala has gained on France, we know that Jacquelin is on survival from 51 to 42. So Sapala's made 9 seconds up on Jacquelin on this last lap.
Sapala's had a good run, actually, shooting well, and he's brought Finland back into it. There weren't much out of it, but he's brought them right into the challenge.
Simon Detieu just going through his final warm-up process, 30-year-old. Just the silver medal from the relay to his name from Beijing. Other races didn't really go to plan. He had a good pursuit, actually. He went from 24th all the way up into 7th, despite the fact that he missed 2 on the first shoot. I think at that stage he'd given up caring, and then, of course, everything started to go to plan.
Yeah, well, Jacquelin taking that so wide, he doesn't have feeling anymore. He's really struggling over this last 1 kilometer.
So Detieu is underway. France have been the dominant nation so far. Best lap we've seen, certainly Fillon-Maillet, that first lap, 17 seconds gained to go from 7th up into 2nd place. And then, of course, he rattled down the first 5 targets. So the chasers get to within 24 seconds. At the last exchange, remember, France were down in 7th. Germany had the lead at that stage, 8 seconds ahead of Austria. Germany back up into 2nd. Ada goes through for Austria. Good performance by the Norwegians as well. Sweden just coming out, and they have put Martin Ponsiluoma, the mass start Olympic silver medalist, going for Sweden on this loop, and Italy relying on the services of Didier Bionard.
Yes, Bionard is taking the same leg as what she did at the Olympic Games, and he had a good outing there.
So France, Austria, Germany, Lithuania, Switzerland, the top 5. Temperature just starting to drop a little. Warmest it's got today is -4. but in Beijing there was pretty much always a 1 before the 4. That was a warm day, -14. Did you have any issues with cold training, Mike, in your career? Sort of days when it was down at -18, -20. Any effects of that?
Yes, you get a little frost nip in your finger occasionally, and when it's down at those temperatures, I suffered a little from that. But I think in the early days, you're not prepared for it, so you lose the feeling in your toes, your fingers, as you mature and realize I can control this with better equipment. And there's plenty good clothing out there now to help in these horrendously cold temperatures.
Yeah. You could do with a nose the size of a moose to warm the air before it gets into your lungs.
That's a reasonable idea.
I should know.
But the pace up this section, and you can afford on this track to really attack that first climb. Then you drop down before this section of the track. We'll see, of course, Dechio coming. There he is, coming round now.
I think it's going to be an early shower for Poland. Panchurch just coming through to finish his lap. France aren't far off, and Gregor Guzik is going to have to do his best to stay ahead of Simon Dechio. What's he had, Mike? 4 top 5s so far this year?
3 or 4. I don't have that at my fingertips. He's been good. He's always reliable, isn't he? He's not. His bad days are not horrific. And I hope I haven't put a curse on him for what's about to come on the range.
Well, the conditions are perfect here in Kontiolahti. We're on to the third leg of the men's 4x7.5. France have a decent lead. You can see the chasers some 25, 26 seconds behind, waiting to see what sort of pace they've set. And you can tell from the technique that it's Benny Dull who is chasing them down. The 31-year-old German, 24th in the World Cup standings. Disappointing. This is Christiansen it's Ligrid of Norway on the third leg. Christiansen's been put on the anchor leg, and Ligrid will be hoping, praying that he doesn't have a similar performance to the one we saw in the Olympic Games.
That was a surprise for me at the Olympic Games, and well, I remember the great Martin Fourcade saying Ligrid was his favourite for the individual race, and in windy conditions, me too, I would normally say yes to that, but we saw him losing his magic prior to the Olympics in terms of his shooting, and that multiplies when you're trying to bring even more to your shooting at the Olympics, and sadly it didn't go that well for Ligrid.
Yeah, we saw Dale fade away at the beginning of the season. Ligrid has not been on the same sort of form as he was last year, and I've thought a number of times this season that they have suffered like Tavia Burr suffered in 2012, the year after he won the overall. Just too tired, too much racing against the likes of Johannes Tingesbo. It was so competitive, and I wonder whether it was too much for a relatively young biathlete.
I think so. I think a lot of it as well is the drain in the brain from mental focus, you know, daily, always trying to bring something special. You get tired.
Well, let's see what sort of shape Simon Dechio. Have a look at the breathing. Looks to be relatively under control at the moment. He's kept his margin over Germany and Austria.
Well, it seems like the wind has picked up on the graphic at the bottom, but looking at the flags, it hasn't really altered much.
I think I'd trust the flags.
Yeah. But now Dechio, that's he took his time, he looked relaxed. Now he won't be relaxed anymore.
Yeah, and if he misses this with the first shot, that 24-second advantage could disappear. Ligrid on 2 out of 2, misses 3, so a little reprieve for the French, and they could get away with that one mistake. They will.
Remember, Ligrid last year, we had such confidence in him at a 94, 95% hit rate prone, but he's again one little error.
Well, there was definitely a change in the wind, Mike. It didn't look to be blowing at 6k an hour unless they've increased the weight of those telltale flags.
Nope, 5 grams.
That's gonna be the same throughout. That would be a little bit of a conspiracy going on.
That would throw the brain, actually.
Yeah.
You would, when you're so used to seeing the fluttering, the movement, and you can subconsciously aim off or adjust accordingly. Finland still there.
Lithuania shooting well again. They've only missed, they've only missed one target so far. So Lithuania, the best of the shooting teams. Austria are good. They'd only missed 2 prior to that last shoot. They've now missed 3 in total. Lithuania, as I mentioned, with just 1 miss. Penalty loops for teams in the top 9. Only Italy have done a penalty loop, and they're only 26 seconds behind. So take that away, and the Italians would have been ahead of Norway.
It's good skiing from the Italians. Well, that the missed shot was over to the right, indicating the strength of the wind, potentially pushing that the fall of the shot high right. Perfect.
Norway back on the case of the French. Ligrid at the top of the hill. Can see him, can probably smell him. And here he comes. Ligrid second in the overall World Cup last year. He always looks a bit tentative. He's, you know, over the years, Mike, we expect Norway to be brilliant at everything, but if they've had a weakness on skis, it has been the downhill sections. You certainly can't say that of Johannes Tingesbø, and you certainly can't say it of Johannes Husvik-Klæbo.
Well, I was surprised, really surprised, Ligrid there. Yes, he had a lot of pace coming into that bend, but to edge your way around, you're killing your pace there. Very surprised, but he had to do that. It looked like he was going to go into the banking had he not put the brakes on.
Well, it looks as though it's going to be a good battle between Christiansen and Fillon-Maillet. This pressure being put on Detieu is very significant, Mike, because if he struggles and misses another 2 in the stand, Fillon-Maillet may have to chase, and chasing's not easy in a relay. Ponsiluoma for Sweden, 47 at the exchange. Sweden were 37 behind, so that's a really good performance from him. 20 seconds gained, 23.
Ponsiluoma, he's taken 10 seconds back from the range to this point, which is difficult. It's easy terrain, it's flat and downhill, so Ponsiluoma, he's absolutely flying.
Yeah, maybe on a good pair of skis. Quite a lot of discussion in Norway at the moment about the amount of money. Essentially, it comes down to the amount of money that is being spent on ski preparation. Their bill for Pyeongchang, I don't know what their bill was for Beijing, but their bill for Pyeongchang, 1.4 million, which dwarfs the bill for most of the entire national teams. And I think they want to try and bring that down. They're quite happy to admit that the number of golds that they take, and they've had, what, 94 Olympic winter golds since the 80s, that, you know, their ski preparation has been responsible for a lot of that. And they're trying to find a way of evening things up a little.
Well, that's very interesting because, yes, you invest that amount of money, you get the answers. You don't have many bad days, and you've got the expert team of backup personnel with you. Very few teams can put that kind of money out. They simply don't have that kind of money, and it's a real disadvantage for many. It used to annoy me just doing my own skis. Not annoy me, it was the way it was, preparing for 4 hours a night before your race and seeing all these experts doing most other teams' skis. But you had to manage it well yourself and try and do the best you could.
Yeah. Cast your eye over the time differences as they go through 19.3. I think this conversation's worth continuing, Mike. I know in Nordic Combined in Norway, they have a series called the Norges Cup. They give all the athletes the same bases, the same wax, and they say the effect, the amount of money it saves is enormous. The racing they have is much closer, but the results don't actually change. It's just you have closer, more exciting racing.
That's, I used to wish that we could do just select skis, but then you have to bear in mind the athlete's weight and the bow of the ski. It wasn't always easy.
No, absolutely. But I think it's something that they could maybe look into. On the downside, it's not always fair because you may get a duff pair of skis. There's certainly a little bit of room for corruption, and where there's a room for corruption, there is corruption. We know that. We can't be naive about that. And at the moment, the vote, you know, it has been put to teams, and they don't want it. And you could argue that it takes away the incentive for the manufacturers of the equipment and the waxes to produce decent goods. But I am certainly one for good racing, and maybe at junior level it's just what you need, so you find genuinely the best athletes rather than the guy who's got the most money and can afford the best skis.
Yes, I mean, in life as well, there's an imbalance there as well, isn't there?
Right.
But for now, Detour will be feeling a little less confident with Ligrid on his tail.
Shoot number 2, leg 3. Detour with an 86% hit rate in the stand this year, 3 percentage points better than the man on his left. Well, that's excellent from Detour, and he's going to claw back a bit more time, and now we'll see what Ligrid's got to give. Ligrid of Norway's coming out with Austria. Sweden are back into it as well. Good shooting from Martin Ponsaloma, who will hand over to Seb Samuelsson. It could be Sweden who challenge the French, to be honest, Mike. Samuelsson versus Fillon-Maillet, 2 of the top performers in the World Cup this year. Samuelsson sitting in 2nd place, I think I'm right in saying, with Jacquelin in 3rd.
What a turnaround for the Austrian team. Only 7 seconds behind at this point. They really have found their form after the Olympics.
Well, actually, no, I must say it's Jacquelin in 2nd. Samuelsson's down in 4th in the World Cup standings. My sheet is missing a race. Often makes a difference. Dole at 12.2. Italy coming out with Didier Bionat. Tommaso Giacomel on the last leg for them.
Heaton Salo just panicking a little there, putting the spare round in. Now he's calmed himself down. Didn't help.
Canada dropping down the order. As I said, they were hoping for a top 6 or 7 today. Finland, little round of applause. Out comes Canada's Jules Bernot. Big man, big hair. And so far, a decent performance today.
And big personality too, to go with the big hair.
Yeah, that could prove to be an expensive miss. Ligrid again hanging in on the corner. Had he got that target down, Mike, the Norwegians could have had a 10-second lead going into the final leg. Well, this could turn into being an absolutely cracking final leg. Fastest shoot in the prone. 25, 26 seconds. Baloga doing exceptionally well.
I thought we'd see Ponsiluoma having closed the gap to this point. Something may have happened to him, but he's certainly, look at the attack. He's going to close this down. You just feel he'll do it quite soon.
Yeah, he was at 9.6. To be able to double dance or skate 2 or V2, call it what you want, up that particular section of the track shows he's still got a huge amount of strength in his body.
Oh, entirely. That was exceptional, the way that Ponsiluoma took this part of the track. Yes, you recovered from the fast descent, but he put everything out there to pull the leaders back in.
Yeah, I remember when skating first came in, Mike. It was 80% skate 1 and just the odd bit of flat where you did the skate 2. How things have changed. It's now 80% skate 2.
It is, and the body shape has adapted as well, hasn't it? Much more core strength, much more back and arm, upper body strength into skating. Yeah, and so much smoother on skis from the young age, balancing left to right ski, alternating all the time.
A little bit of skate 3 for Detour of France. Ligrid staying strong. He's got Kontiolahti behind him, who's done great work up to this point, but they've still got the steep section to go. If you've got anything left, this is the moment to make your move. Lygrid ups the tempo, wearing one. Detour trying to hang on in there. Kontiolahti doesn't really have anywhere to go unless Lygrid actually gets past the French team, but it doesn't look as though he's making any ground at all at the moment.
Well, Kontiolahti, you're right, he's roadblocked. I'm surprised Kontiolahti isn't going further right. Maybe, well, he's going to try going left now. He shouted for space. I think he'll get it. Yes, he will.
Felix Leitner just losing a little bit of time on that climb, but it's very unusual at this stage of the relay, with just over one leg to go, that we have four teams within 3 seconds, and the top 5 teams separated by only 9.5 seconds at the moment. And it's Sweden who take the lead. Sweden, of course, the Olympic champions from 2018 in Pyeongchang. They have not had a podium so far this year. Silver in the World Championships last year. They've actually got exactly the same team that took the silver medal in Pachuca last year.
Well, Samuelsson at the Olympics, he had the 3rd fastest time on the 3rd leg. He's certainly setting the fastest time today. He's had an exceptional race.
Christiansen, Samuelsson, Fion-Maillet, 3 of the world's best, ready to go. You can guarantee, Mike, that Johannes Tingersbø is sitting at home watching this. He is probably regretting missing this, because were he here, this would be his leg. And well, actually, they'd probably have given it to. They probably still would have given it to Christiansen, to be honest.
Yes, I think they probably would have, wouldn't they, with Fion-Maillet and Christiansen with his powerful final 200 meters.
And Detour, just for pride, works his way back to the front of the group. Kontiolahti hanging on for grim death. It's been a sensational run for him. Sweden were 37.5 seconds down at the start of this exchange. France were first. They've held on to top spot with just 7.5 kilometers to go. Fion-Maillet goes for France, wearing 2. The overall World Cup leader has to show what he can do here today. But he has the company of Sweden and Germany and Norway and the Austrians.
Well, you can see straight away, for me, the same spark, the dynamic moves from Quentin Fion-Maillet. He's leading the way, and it's not going to be an easy challenge. These athletes will cling on to Fion-Maillet, certainly to the first shoot.
Felix Leitner losing 10 seconds from the top of the climb to the stadium. That's over a 500-meter section. So he was right on the limit there. And that might be Austria's chance of a podium gone. Well, what a final leg we're in for here, Mike. Are you going to give away the script?
It's going to be absolutely brilliant, because they're going to push. The pace is going to be firm with Quentin Fion-Maillet at the front. And really, those 4 teams, Sweden, Norway, Germany, strong players. Norath, he looked great at the Olympics in terms of skiing. He didn't really cope well with the final shoot for a medal there. So concerns with Norath. Norway, Christiansen, he's always a safe bet, isn't he? No wind today, he'll shoot his normal rhythm, and I think he'll be able to stay with this pace, so it's all up for grabs. I don't think Austria can come back into it with Harold, with respect, Lemmerer on the last leg. He needs to be with them if he had a chance, I think, of a top 3.
Well, we've seen some extraordinary turnarounds in the relay. The pace is not particularly high at the moment. Fion-Maillet is, I think he's probably confident that he can outski everyone on the last lap. But to do that, he's got to keep himself in contention by shooting well.
Look at Fion-Maillet skate to all the way like Kontiolahti did last time, on his last lap, actually.
Lemmerer 20.1, holding his own. And then the Swiss and the Italians close enough. Should something go wrong with the leaders. That was a good cornering from Giacomelli. I think Norway's Lygrid, the worst of the cornering techniques that we've seen so far today.
Yes, interesting. And Giacomo in for Vindish from the Olympic lineup. And Vindish on that day, he had to take some element of risk, but he was so disappointed to go round the penalty loop in standing.
Well, the Polish team have already been lapped here. Latvia are going to be the next to go. There's no way they're going to hang on with the four leaders just behind them now, about 40 metres adrift. Norway leading with Christiansen. Fiolmaye happy to sit in second place. Sweden 3, Germany 4. And essentially, without Russia here, the best four teams for the season.
Latvia, Schlotten's, he's about to be passed. If he can survive, he just skis through the range, hands over to his next teammate, so he'll buy himself another 30 seconds for a short while.
I'm not going to put too much money on that happening. And other teams that are in a spot of bother, actually, Romania at 3:27. They're okay at the moment. Each lap taking roughly 6 minutes.
And the Czech Republic, remember, after the first leg, they were down in last position, nearly 2 minutes behind. With all the pressure of the chase, they've done another penalty, and still 16th place, 4 minutes, 1 behind.
The first leg might taking 18 minutes. 18 minutes and 1 second. The second leg 18 minutes and 11 seconds, and then that third leg a little bit slower. 20 minutes. What was it? Oh no, 18 minutes again. 18 minutes again. Yeah.
Yes, Detio, I thought Detio did well there. He held himself back effectively laps 1 and 2 and had a real strong final lap to give. Look at the pace, the all-important. They know how important it is, these four athletes, to try and not use any spare round. So the pace is calming down just to try and make that happen, or help, assist to make that happen.
Yeah, Lemmer of Austria at 24 behind them, so he's lost 5 seconds. Switzerland 1:10, they've lost 5 seconds as well, actually a bit more than that. And the Italians at 1:09, so they've lost 6 seconds. So although the pace looks steady, they are still skiing faster than everyone else out on the course. So first shoot, final leg, prone position as you can see, and the wind flags not indicating a significant change from the prone shoot 18 minutes ago. Germany the first to miss. Christiansen making sure 5 out of 5. Sweden get 5 out of 5. France with Fiolmaye making absolutely sure of the targets. He gets 5, but gives away 5 or 6 seconds. Is that going to be an invite for those up front to go for it? I don't think they will. I think they'll still ski fairly steady before the final shoot of this relay. Germany, no penalty loops for them. The shooting standard's been pretty good, to be honest.
I was really surprised that Fiolmaye there, clearly the excitement, the buzz, the attention he had after the Olympics, he looks a little race rusty to have not risked a little more. His rhythm was much slower, so he was playing a safe game.
Yeah, we'll see what he does in the final. I wonder whether he's got that mass start, Olympic mass start on his mind, Mike, where he missed 3 on the last standing shoot. And that, of course, costing him the chance of getting 6 golds from 6 races in Beijing. That would have been a new record.
That would have been incredible, and you could feel the pressure there. He changed everything. The pressure was so much on his shoulders, and you felt that a little bit today. He just played a very safe and careful game. Will he catch those 8.8 seconds back? He probably will.
Fairly sharpish, and again I think he'll try and do what Jacquelin did and gain the seconds before the big climb back up into the stadium, so he can just get that pulse down under control for the final shoot. Sweden, Norway, France, Germany still within 9.5 seconds of each other.
That was a little technical issue there. He didn't entirely put the bolt forward, so he lost a second or two there.
So we're down to 2 at the front. Sweden with Samuelsson, Christiansen looking pretty good, although if you take the season as a whole, Samuelsson has been the quicker skier, and Samuelsson the fastest man on the tour, Mike, for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, he was in blistering form early season, then it dropped away. Fiormaillet certainly has lost form from his Olympic great performances.
Well, I was going to say that Fiormaillet was exceptional, Mike, because it's not very often that the man who's been dominating the World Cup then goes to a major championships and dominates there, because so many athletes sort of focus on the Olympics, and he was outstanding in Beijing.
Yes, and that was on the back of a wonderful World Cup, pre-Christmas, post-Christmas. Fiormaillet just had everything, and often when an athlete goes in with so many great results and wearing yellow, the expectations make them fold. We saw that with Martin Fourcade and in the first race, the sprint at his last Olympics, finishing 12th, but it didn't happen for Fiormaillet. He just got stronger and stronger. Latvia are still surviving, but this time it won't be for long.
This time they have to shoot, as we see Christiansen and Samuelsson with Germany in the background. Philipp Norath leading the way, another man from Ruhpolding. This is a key shoot for Germany, Mike. Only a 68% hit rate for Philipp Norath in the stand position throughout the season. That puts him a lot of percentage points behind Christiansen, who's on 84, Fiormaillet even better, 89, and Seb Samuelsson on 81.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Christiansen, he's a big athlete, and this hill won't suit him best. Fiormaillet, this is really suiting Fiormaillet with that light body weight, strong legs. He's pulling them back in now.
6.5 seconds only, and it was at 13, so he's gained 6 or 7 seconds, but he's pushed the pace at a critical point of the race.
That was my thought too. He's really pumped up his pulse now, determined to put the lead 2 under pressure, but in doing so he's putting himself under extreme physical pressure.
Christiansen still easing things down. The man that brought Norway home to the gold medal in the Olympics. He shot the perfect 10 out of 10 on that occasion. The margin between France and Norway in Beijing was 27 seconds to the advantage of the Norwegians.
And poor old Latvia skiing, sadly, they've been passed and just skiing straight on. Mike Juhins hasn't even gone over the bridge.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how much of a lead Latyapov had coming into that last shoot at the Olympic Games, Mike.
43 seconds.
Yeah,
it was a long way. 1 or 2 penalty loops, you could have said, but he took ages trying to get the targets down.
Yeah, and did 2 penalty loops. So he went from being 43 seconds ahead in the gold medal position to finishing 45 seconds behind and only just holding on to the bronze medal.
So much can change. Look at this incredible pressure for 4 nations, 4 teams, 4 athletes.
Yeah, if it comes to a ski race, where's your money?
Fiormaillet looked good on the hill, and that's the important part of this track.
One miss could cost the win. And Sweden with Samuelsson already throwing one wide. That will get the nerves jangling. Fiormaillet working left to right. Hits 3 out of 3. This is looking good for France at the moment. He misses the 4th, though. And it's Christiansen who could take advantage of his good standing shoot skills. He does. He's going to steal a lead of 5 or 6 seconds. What a difficult time now for him, because he's got to decide. Does he go flat out to deny Fiormaillet? Your money probably would be on Fiormaillet even at this stage. But Christiansen did not push that hard. Samuelsson is going to be another 7 or 8 seconds behind the French. Germany are still there, still a chance of getting on the podium. Philipp Norath is coming out right on the tail of Samuelsson, and Samuelsson might well dragging up to the medal positions.
Amazing. I'm so impressed with Norath. He only hit 2 out of the first 5 shots, so the 3 spare rounds, he had to use them fast, he had to be accurate, and he ticked all those boxes.
Good shooting again from Christiansen. 10 out of 10 in the Olympics. 10 out of 10 here in Kontiolahti. That was a bad miss from Samuelsson, getting his last shoot off to a really bad start.
He's way over his comfort zone there. The breathing was erratic. He was desperate for more air. Didn't give himself time to pull the air in. Jean-Marc not impressed.
Now let's see Christiansen, who came out of the range with a 9.3 second lead. Samuelsson back at 17.5. I think the damage, if it's going to be done, Mike, is going to be done on the climb. But that 9 seconds looks to have grown already. He's got a lead of at least 85 meters over the French. But once it comes to the steep climb, nicely round that tricky left-hand corner, slight flat section where he needs to keep this glide speed high and then just build up his resources. It's really about a mental approach to this final climb.
Oh, what's happened to Fiormaillet? That is so interesting. Maybe it is his skis, maybe it is the glide factor down there. He may well be caught by Samuelsson and Norath.
Yeah, Samuelsson's already taken 7 seconds out of Fiormaillet, but Fiormaillet, as we saw last time round, was a good 7.5 seconds quicker than anyone else on the climb. He's going to need more than that, and the pressure is on. Sweden closing on France, and they're taking Germany with them. So Fiormaillet is making me think, I'm still pretty sure he's going to hang on to second. I think he's let that gap open too wide to get the win. But, Mike, it does make me wonder whether the crystal globe is going to be quite so easy to achieve.
It's maybe not. When you see Fiormaillet has form prior to Christmas, after Christmas, and during the Olympics was excellent. He was never threatened on the track as he is today. So confidence, that will knock his confidence a little. But he has only arrived here a couple of days ago with all the press interest back home. So maybe he'll get back into it, settle back into biathlon.
Well, we've still only got 9 teams through the last shoot, but a remarkable relay with only 18 seconds separating the top 4 at the end of that 8th shoot. And then if we have a look at their positions now, well, just 19 seconds between the leaders, and the really steep section still to come. I'm not sure Fiormaillet is chasing this, to be honest. He's still at roughly 15.5 seconds. We will get one final split, and Samuelsson now just filling those lungs with oxygen. I think he knows that Fiormaillet is quick on the climb.
And it's strange, isn't it? It's as an athlete, you're like a hunter, and when you know that the great man, Fiormaillet, is not what he was during the Olympics, it gives you spirit, it gives you a lift. But I think Fiormaillet will keep this fight going to the line.
Yeah, I think Christiansen needs some information, but he may sense from the noise in the crowd, and there are always some fans here on this hill. They know this is where so many races are won and lost, and that's a bad mishap for Germany. Philipp Norath just stumbling a little on the right-hand side, and Samuelsson goes up into second place, but he's got to keep that speed going. He went very, very early on the climb, Samuelsson, so all credit to him, and he's now got to within less than 10 seconds of the race leaders.
Oh, wouldn't Sweden love that to catch Norway? That's a bad sign. He's thinking I'm safe in second. When he looked back and saw Fiormaillet looking exhausted, Norath isn't going to give in either in fourth.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see a sprint finish between Norath and Fiormaillet. Christiansen is safe. One right-hand turn to negotiate, and then it's all the way into the finish to make it 4 World Cup wins out of 5. They hold on to the trophy for the 5th season in a row. Norway, the dominant nation for the last half-decade. They're the Olympic champions. They're the world champions, and they're champions here again in Kontiolahti. They've only won here once before. It's not been a happy hunting ground for them, but today a sensational last lap from Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen. All eyes on the finish. Samuelsson is going to claim second place. France just holding on to third. Norath, nothing left in the tank to fight for that, but what a relay. Only 13 seconds seconds between the top four. The best relay we've had so far this season, apart from the Olympics, where the positions all changed on the last shoot.
Well, that was incredible. I'm very happy for Sweden. They haven't touched the podium this year. They have on the very last day. And second place, that's a good call for Sweden.
Yeah, who needs the Burr brothers?
Wow, they'll be sitting at home thinking, we're redundant now.
Credit to Bakken and Anderson. They did really well on the first leg. There's Leigheid. Good race from him. Good pacing again. Mike did sterling work on the last 2.5K loop to close down on the French and put some pressure on Jacquelin. But Christiansen, really the star of the show, held his nerve, hit those last 5 targets and gained himself a crucial 9-second advantage over Phil Maillet. How interesting would it have been, Mike, had the French and the Norwegians come out of that last shoot together?
That would have spiced things up, but I don't know. Obviously, Phil Maillet has lost a little of his form, his feeling, and I do think he'll probably find that back in tomorrow's race.
Maybe saving himself for the weekend.
Maybe. And interestingly, good shooting there from France. Only 7 spare rounds, the same as Norway. Germany only 8 spare rounds, and 3 of them came from Norath.
Top 5 for the Austrians. I think they'll be very happy with that. Their previous best was 9th in Antolz, where there are a number of top teams missing. Switzerland in 6th place. Good work from them. The Canadians down in 8th last time we saw them. They're about 2.5 minutes off the pace. Bakken absolutely delighted with the way things have gone. And Philip Theld Anderson, I think all credit to him, took the second leg for the winning team today. Italy, not quite as impressive as they were in the women's 4x6 yesterday. That was a good race from the Italian women, Mike. And it's going to be interesting next year to see whether they stick to that combination of splitting Vera and Vitozzi. Don't always put them on the first 2 legs.
Well, I think they'll probably try and stay with that. It was successful. Why change something that was successful? And they have the winning team at the Junior World Championships. They were Italian in the relay, so they may well pull in Passler or Ockenthaler or Zingerli, so they've got some good names coming through.
Yeah, nothing quite like a generational repeat, is there?
Exactly. Yep, in one valley they create so many champions in Italy.
Yeah, if you have the facilities, you can do it. Put a ski jump in Aviemore, it would only be 10 years.
Absolutely, it's about having it on your doorstep.
USA make the top 10. They certainly would have liked to have beaten the Canadians and certainly like to have been in the top 8. But too many mistakes. No penalty loops, to be honest. Worst shooting score for a winning team in the World Cup so far this year. Mike, Norway with 7 spares required. The worst prior to this was 5. Sweden missed 10. France missed 7. Germany missed 8. Austria, excellent. Only 5 misses throughout the day.
That is great shooting. The wind wasn't overly difficult. Fluctuations occasionally, but 5 spare rounds is excellent.
Yeah, I think the Czechs must have bent their barrels on the way here, because 4 penalty loops. What was that? 18 misses in total.
Yes, and I think that was a great performance from the Japanese team. Lithuania just behind them. The Japanese team, it's tough for them. And 4 minutes 15 behind is a good result. 12th position. It must have been tough for Philip Fjeld Andersen to be a reserve at the Olympics and sadly not getting a race, so he's come back from that, and I thought he raced very well today, taking the second leg for Norway.
Yeah, it's, one of the disadvantages of being Norwegian. There aren't many.
He's talking about the Olympics there to the Swedish team where they didn't quite pull it off.
Yeah, Sweden down in 5th at the Olympics. They did a penalty loop on the second leg. That was Jesper Nellin. It came unstuck for him. Guiganat there for France, wearing 2-1. He had a pretty solid start, Mike. I think that's, that's encouraging. I hope he sticks around next year. He's got so much potential, but again, he's in an exceptionally strong team.
It must be very tough mentally. Guiganat, he made a couple of mistakes in the pro, and he made up for it on the ski tracks. So he's a good player. He's a safe player.
I don't know how long do we wait before I can see it,
but Fabien Claude, hopefully we'll see him again. He started at the Olympics for France, but of course today it was Guiganat.
Couple of teams still to come across the line. The Staribanki is on our screen tomorrow. Eurosport 1, 1:30 Central European time, so 12:30 if cycling is your thing. That news just coming in, so I hope you can join us for that. Also plenty of biathlon. We have the sprints tomorrow. The Holmenkollen Ski Festival starts tomorrow as well with the women's 30K. So here are the results of the men's relay. You can see the shooting scores just below where it says total 1:12.06. The winning time here, which is some 4 minutes quicker than this time last year when Norway once again got the victory ahead of Sweden and Germany.
Vedle, congratulations. Bringing the team back to the top the first time after the Olympics. But it was quite an exciting one. How did you feel it?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. It was an exciting one. It was almost the Olympics all over again. It was 4 teams fighting for the podium on the last shooting, and one of us unfortunately had to be number 4. So again, I tried to not think too much about the podium and this unlucky 4th place. I heard Seb shot a pretty early shot and he missed it, so I think take your time and just clean. Try to do the same as in the Olympics. It's always difficult to copy what you have done before, but today, yet again with a team, our 5th victory this year, I think, and also now without the brothers from Stryn. So yeah, an amazing experience, and especially for our 2 young guys who was training very hard in the Olympics, being there as the reserve guys. So very happy.
You should be. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The athletes are greeted by the President of the International Biathlon Union, Mr. O'Lean, and Ranger of Kontiolahti Municipality, Mr. Larry Korn. Bold winner, Norway!
Heia Sverige!
Näin perjantaina 11. myöskin seremoniat saatu